I think I'm number 16 right now.
So to get everyone caught up with the context of where this all started, let me read from the chat. They got this all started. Rick said, I believe Yield has a plan and will follow through. It won't be enough to beat us. But still, Tricky, on the other hand, is talking out of his arse. Literally 2 days after making the bet, he was claiming that he meant to finish in the top 5 of the Trophy Horse host. And I was like, doesn't Trophy Horse only have 3 hosts, though? And Daryl says, bro, LOL, Tricky is always talking junk and then trying to change it up. I love it. And the big mouth thing, or talking out his arse, was where I said, Tricky is like a pelican, large mouth and no balls. And then Rick responded, why did you just make me Google if pelicans had balls? And I said, why didn't you take my word for it? And Rick said, well, they do apparently. They're just inside where no one can see them.
You are listening to Trophy Horse with your host, Tricky Mick, Alex, I Yield to No One,
Steve,
and Sid.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Trophy Wars. This is episode 571. I'm your host, Tricky Mick, alongside with me, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Alex.
The King of Kings, and no, not the Triple H variety of King of Kings, the Reggie from Tales of Iron variety of King of Kings.
He brings the awesome. It's I Yield to No One.
Happy Mother's Day!
None of us are mothers.
That doesn't matter. There could be mothers who listen to the show.
Oh, you meant those. Okay. I got you. Sorry. How you guys doing?
Well, I've got a brand new platinum, so I'm doing all right. Just need to clean up a few other trophies, but yeah, it was a good Mother's Day. Got to meet up yesterday with my stepmom and my dad, and we went out to brunch with them, and then went out to lunch with my mom today, although she and I got into a political argument in the middle of a restaurant, so she kind of stomped out mad at me, but it's fine. We'll patch it up and hopefully see each other in a few more weeks for some lunch. But, I mean, overall, pretty successful Mother's Day weekend, I would say.
And Yield?
It was good. I didn't have to go to work Friday, and saw my niece's dance recital Friday night, and kind of just chilled. Kind of my typical chilling weekend when I don't have to go running around. So it was good. Started a new game and
yeah, and my day's just been moving around my studio, which was not fun. Getting Harley all set up to a spot where she's not going to chew through another freaking wire.
Is that number 2 now?
Number 2.
No, this is number 12.
Oh, number 12. Oh, you've only posted 2.
Hold on. At this point, are we blaming the dog or are we blaming you? Because if you get to 12, after number 1, you probably should have taken more care. Like, how is she getting to all these wires?
Well, that's the thing, is she was... Okay, you'd have to see my studio, but her cage is now behind me, where it was to the left of me. And to the left of me is where I have my streaming computer and all that other stuff. And all those wires were up and tucked away. Because she's growing so much, she was actually able to stick her paw through the cage to grab the wire, which I didn't think she would be able to do. And so I moved the cage further away. And, she's growing so much that she's able to put her nail on it and just pull it. And then I was sitting here streaming, was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I don't know. And all of a sudden my streaming computer just goes out. I'm going, what the hell? The computer's on. I look at her cage. She's chewing on through the HDMI wire. Luckily, as a gamer, I have 50 of those, so I was able to replace it real quick. But yeah,
wait, you think that's how many of those wires people should have? Because I got one for each console.
Well, I was talking to Matt G, and his response is, "Are you really a gamer if you don't have multiple of those wires laying around?"
I do have multiple, but I have one for each console, essentially.
You don't have extra HDMI wires?
Bro, I've got a pair of tennis shoes or sneakers to wear to work, and then I've got a pair to mow the grass in, which is just like an older pair that I don't wear anymore out because they're kind of, gross. But no, why do I want, if I have perfectly working HDMI cables, why am I going to have a stash of them somewhere?
He's got a point.
I have what I need to use. Like there are a few things that I have extra of in the house, like bars of soap and like deodorant and like, hygiene stuff. But when it comes to electronics, I don't have like extra wires and stuff hanging around. I have what I need to run the consoles that I have.
So when you upgraded to the PS5, you didn't use the same HDMI wire from the back of the PS4 in the PS5?
No, I used the one that came with the PS5.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know. I probably have like 50 wires laying around somewhere.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I actually have a box that's in my house that's literally but nothing but wires, like micro USB, USB-C, USB-A, HDMI, DisplayPort, power cables for multiple things. I have backups upon backups upon backups in my cases.
Well, good.
In my cables.
Well, good. If I ever need a cord, I'll be like, Tricky, I need a cord. Hook me up.
I probably have it. And I'm so organized, I have all the cables labeled in Ziploc bags.
That's good.
I just pull out a Ziploc bag. It's like my old PVR that I used to have. If you pull out one Ziploc bag, it has the PVR, all the wires and everything attached to it. Inside, I have a bag for my PSVR stuff. I have a bag for everything. And it's backups upon backups upon backups. I have 3-foot wires, 6-foot wires, 12-foot wires, 50-foot wires. Probably have several dozen Cat 5 lines, Cat 6, Cat 7, Cat 8 lines.
Look at you.
Listen, when you have the setup that I have, and I know you guys have seen my setup, it pays to have extra wires laying around, because if this wire goes out...
I'm sure it does. Well, yeah, that way you don't have to run to a store to buy one.
Yep. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Darth Knight 82 wants to know, Tricky, did you read GQ's top 100 games? No, I did not. I didn't even know GQ does top 100 games. We may have to look into doing that as a topic on the show in the future.
Yeah, not really a magazine that you would think that they do focus on technology. I've never read GQ, so all I know of GQ usually is that they have a nice GQ Man of the Year that looks nice and sexy on the front of their magazines.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into our updated trophy count. I am level 855, total trophies of 26,683 with 727 platinums. Alex?
See, I'm not even looking at that because I'm sitting here daydreaming about all the GQ Men of the Year. I just... Luckily, though, Tricky, yeah. What? Luckily...
You want to tell us?
Huh?
Something you want to tell us?
No. Except for my undying love for Idris Elba. No. I am level 478 with a total trophy count of 8,712 and a platinum count of 144 in 143 games. Of course, that a tick up from last week with a brand new platinum trophy.
And yield? We'll get into what you got the platinum in a second, Alex.
See, back up there. I am currently a newly minted 497 with a trophy count of 9502 and 172 platinums.
Okay, I'm looking at this GQ list.
It's a joke.
I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I'm looking at the top 10 at least.
Yeah.
And I'd say half of them don't deserve to be anywhere close to there.
So it's a joke.
Let's see. I just want to see what they put as number 100. Hold on. Sorry.
Nuts.
Number
100.
Okay, number 100, just for reference,
yeah,
is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
That's considered like one of the best, well, no, I won't say the best games, but it's really up there with I'd probably would guess, I'd probably say top 10, if not probably top 5 of people's most games. So I already don't have. I never played Knights of the Old Republic, but I want to play the remake if we ever get it. But yeah, I have no respect for this list already.
Okay, so here's the thing: you got to remember that stuff like Tetris or Super Mario Brothers, games from the NES that are replayable and were the foundation of video games. I'm not saying Pong should be on the list, but there are games that are foundational that came early on that you would look at and say, well, this isn't as impressive as, like, say, The Witcher 3 or Knights of the Old Republic, but they're probably higher up in the list because, one, they are super replayable, and they also, what am I trying to say? They blaze the trail for other games to come through. So I would say something like Tetris deserves to be higher than Knights of the Old Republic, not because it's more impressive, just because at that time, that kind of stuff was like mind-blowing, and it was the kind of just allowed us to get where we are today.
I won't disagree with that line of thinking.
You say that, and I'm looking through the list. Super Mario Brothers, the original one, is number 96.
I'm sure they say, hey, you don't play that many games, but like put together a list of 100 video games, the best 100 video games of all time. I mean, they're going to get some right. It probably wouldn't be that hard to make that list, but as long as they're not like one rule, one game per series, so you can only have one Mario game, I hate that stuff. Just if it's the best game, put it on the list, regardless of how many Mario games or Zelda games or Uncharted games you have on there. Just put them on there. But I mean, yeah, I say that, but
what's considered the best Zelda game of all time?
Well, that's debatable. We go Ocarina of Time. I've heard Link to the Past.
Well, IGN put out. It's funny you say this because IGN put out a top 10 list today or yesterday, and they have Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild as 1 and 2. According to them, Tears of the Kingdom is the best Zelda game of all time.
Well, Majora's Mask is number 69.
I'd say that's fair. I mean, it's a game that pushed the Zelda franchise forward, but also at the same time is very divisive because it had a darker tone, which I didn't mind, but the whole time element thing, the 3 days, you couldn't kill that game interest in that game off any faster for me if you tried.
And Wind Waker is number 67, just so you know.
I think
Wind Waker's good. Yeah, Wind Waker's good.
I mean, considering how many games have been put out. Consider how many games have been put out. I mean, I think that's fair.
Well, good news, Grand Theft Auto 5 is number 48.
Which version?
It says PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360.
Oh, okay. Because maybe it's on there again for every other iteration. I don't know.
Probably. Just try to look through this real quick to see if anything notable. Mario 3 is number 36. Uncharted 2 is number 34. Shadow of the Colossus, 31.
Oh, yeah. Represent.
Last of Us Part 2 is number 28. Link to the Past is number 26.
Where's Ocarina of Time?
Bioshock is number 23. Elden Ring is number 20. Red Dead Redemption 2 is number 15. Ocarina of Time is 13.
There you go.
There's a lucky number 13 for you.
All right, you know what? We'll go through this list in time, but your top 10 is Half-Life 2. 9 is Dark Souls. 8 is Portal 2. 7 is the original Metal Gear Solid. Number 6 is Mass Effect 2. Number 5, The Witcher 3. Number 4, Bloodborne. Number 3, Tetris. Number 2, The Last of Us. And anybody want to guess what number 1 is?
No.
Breath of the Wild.
Until I play it, I can't say anything.
And just for the record, yes, I did buy Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, as a Zelda fan, you should.
Because I am a Zelda fan. I'm hoping that to quote Kalai, who sent me a message like literally 5 minutes after I bought it, which was ironic. She goes, you should try it. I am curious if it fixes your problems with the game. So with her knowing what my problems with Breath of the Wild is, it sounds like they've made some of the changes that I'm gonna like, and the fact that she says you can't just wake up and run to the end of the game. You have to like follow the story. But then I saw a news story saying that somebody beat the game in 93 minutes. A speedrunner already, and somebody's already beaten it 46 times. So I'm not hoping. I don't have too much hope.
I mean, there's always going to be people that find loopholes, and I don't know. I guess there's like a main like quest line that you have to follow. I haven't played the game, so I don't know if they have a main quest line, because I think it was more free. Like you could do more of what you want in Breath of the Wild. They didn't like give you like a checklist of things to do. It's just kind of like you do what you want. I don't know if they changed that in this to be like more structured, like say Horizon, but yeah. Who, like, have you played any of it, Tricky?
I have not played 1 second of it.
Okay. Oh, I do want to issue a correction for last week because JD was talking to me. He actually pointed out something I said wrong on last week's show, and he said he sent me a message. He said, "Sorry, you're wrong about Xbox achievements. They are both in both Xbox and PC, and the name was changed to Microsoft achievements." So there you go. I wasn't sure if the achievements had gone over to PC. Or if they were just to Xbox. So, JD, straighten me out there. Or sorry, JT. I think I said JD. JT.
Well, I could have told you that because I have achievements in Minecraft. Or not Minecraft, Minesweeper.
Well, then why didn't you say that?
I honestly don't even remember you saying that.
Sleep deprivation, kids, that's what it'll do to you.
And I edited the show and I still didn't hear you say it. So, all right. Let's get into our... Oh, wait, no. Alex, what are you playing? Sorry.
So for the past week, I've been playing Tales of Iron, which was one of the PlayStation Plus free games from April, and I hope all of you picked it up and put it in your library, because it's actually a very good game. Yield was asking me if the Platinum Trophy was a hard one, because it's, they described it as like a brutal combat, like kind of like Souls-like, and I did get the Platinum. The game itself is about, I think people clock it in at like 8 to 10 hours. There's a few things to do after the game, post game that were released in the DLC. But so for those wondering, you can play there with the DLC, the Bloody Whiskers DLC. Initially, the game was just one difficulty. With the DLC, they added in 2 more difficulties. One was Bloody Whiskers, which is the highest difficulty in the game, in which you have to beat for a bronze trophy as part of the DLC pack, which is a very rare trophy. All the other trophies in the game are common or uncommon. For the Platinum Trophy, you can beat the game on Fairy Tale mode, which is just the easy mode. So, I didn't play through that. I played on the normal. So you can play on the easiest setting and still get the Platinum Trophy. The Bloody Whiskers Trophy is part of the DLC, not counted for the Platinum. The normal game, very challenging. You're going to, with most of the enemies, grunts and mini bosses and stuff, you are going to have to, make good use of parrying, of dodging. They've got thing where if an enemy attacks with like a red attack, and you'll plainly see what the color is. A red attack, you will have it's unblockable, but you can dodge it. If it's yellow, it's undodgeable, but it's parryable. And if it's white, it can be either dodged or, well, I don't know if it can be parried, but it can definitely be dodged or blocked with your shield. So you just gotta learn those mechanics. And for most things, if you get good enough at that, you can handle mini bosses or whatever. With the main bosses, and there are quite a few of them, you have to learn. Essentially, you're going to die quite a bit, and it will get frustrating at times, but you just learn their patterns, and you learn the best way to fight them, and you go on from there. So it's challenging, but it's manageable. And each boss has like phases to where if you get the boss down to half health, it'll do something different. It'll change it up. So you definitely have to learn the different stages of each boss. And one of the things I think that people online mentioned that makes this game so hard combat-wise is there's no iframes or invincibility frames, at least like with your dodge, because if you dodge the wrong way, you can still be hit by an attack, and even after you're hit by attack, they can hit you with another, and like things kind of lead into each other, so you could lose a massive chunk of health if you make one mistake. So you don't have to do things perfectly, but if you do make a mistake, they will make you pay for it. So not a super hard platinum, and definitely manageable on normal, but you can take the easy way out and go for the easiest trophy setting, or the easiest difficulty setting. But overall, I love the art style. The game is a lot of fun. The story, like I said before, reminds me kind of Game of Thrones, and yeah, it's in some segments it's like Game of Thrones, and it's like they rip your heart out by doing something to a certain character. So yeah, Yeah, I would highly recommend it to anyone who likes combat-based games. And like I said, this is one of those games that I saw the art style, and from the cut, I was like, I like this. I want to play this game. So, and I'm glad I did. It's a lot of fun.
All right, Yield.
Let's see here. I've been playing a little bit of everything. I did a little World of Warship Legends. Worked on my bureau a little bit. I fired up an old game, or not an old game, but it reminded me of an old game I played on the PS2. I played some Leisure Suit Larry, played some Deep Rock Galactic, played some Rocket League, fired up Kena, tried to play the Diablo 4 beta, but I just missed it before they shut the servers down. And I went back into Far Cry 4 and started clearing out the last batch of DLC, Valley of the Yetis, and so that's it. Oh, and I played some Mario Kart. Played a bunch of Mario Kart 8 yesterday.
With Kena Yield, are you trying to get that platinum?
Well, we're going to give it the old college try. I can understand why everybody says, why you and everybody else says Master is freaking insane. Because I'm playing through on what would be normal difficulty. And I first started out, and it's like, okay, this isn't so bad. By the time I got done with Tarot, I was like, yeah, I know why everybody says Master is near impossible.
And I hate to tell you this, really the hardest part of that entire game is the second boss, the Corrupted Woodsmith. It's the hardest part of that game, at least to me. It's even harder than the final boss, so that gives you kind of a good indication of the rest of the game. Because, like, you see the art style of that game, and it's like, man, I think everyone thought that game was going to be easier than it was. And then you start going through it, it's like, oh, wow, this is actually far more challenging. So, yeah, you can... I have to ask you, depending upon how the rest of the playthrough goes, are you going to do what Tricky and I did, and what, to be honest, many other people did? Are you going to go for the Platinum Exploit? Or are you going to try to do Master and just, if you can't get it, you can't get it?
Well, I'm going to give it ye old college try, and I will try it on Master, and then when I get ungodly fed up, which probably won't take me very long, I'm going to do the exploit and go for the Platinum.
Wait, it doesn't take you long to get upset?
It depends.
It's only when people are talking during Rocket League.
Well, yeah, because you're not playing Rocket League. You're trying to distract everybody.
Well, to be fair, there are times you muted me while we were playing together. And you muted other people too while they were playing.
Because you're trying to distract everybody.
I love doing you shit.
And the other people I've muted has just been because they've been in the chat, and I'm like, why are you here?
Because they want to talk to you.
Well, then play Rocket League with me. See, this is why I'm against party chat. It's just not my thing. If we're all playing the same game, but talking about something else, but still playing the game, then I'm okay with that. But if you're just not playing the game and all chitty chatty and distracting everybody from playing the game, then I got issues with that.
It's okay, Yield.
It's just how I am. I'm old school, man.
We forgive you.
A truer statement has never been made. The whole Yield's being old school thing.
Yeah. All right. So the only thing I've been playing is Jedi Survivor. I don't even think I fired the Division. Oh, no, I did fire the Division. Finished off the Manhunt.
Whew.
Now I just got to wait.
I was worried there for a second.
I just got to wait 3 more weeks, and then we should have the next season. And I will tell you, this season ended on a banger. Banger. I cannot wait to get play the next season. All right. As I put my cigarette out. And
you're smoking indoors?
Do you not realize I've been smoking indoors for like the last...
But that makes your house smell like that.
The good thing about a smoker, don't smell it.
You don't smell it, yeah.
You got a freaking dog. You got a kid.
I can attest to that because my parents smoked for years, and all the smokers would come up to me and be like, do I smell like smoke? I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't understand what you were taking until I moved out.
And then you realized it.
And then I'm like, oh, this is what everybody was asking me all them years in school.
Yeah, I don't smoke when I don't smoke with Sweet Mama D's in the house.
Oh, government names.
I caught myself. I don't smoke when Sweet Mama D's here. I smoke outside. All right, let's get into our topics. Our first topic is coming from the good old IGN, written by Ryan Dinsdale. The PlayStation Plus Games Catalog Editions for May 2023 have been revealed. PlayStation 5 exclusive Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart headlines May's offerings, bringing the interdimensional adventure to even more players. You're also going to get Watch Dogs Legion for the 4 and the 5, Humanity for the 4 and the 5, Dishonored 2 for the 4, Dishonored Death of the Outsider for the 4, Sakuna of Rice and Ruin for the 4, Tomb Raider Definitive Edition for the 4, Rise of the Tomb Raider for the 4, Shadow of the Tomb Raider for the 4, Bus Simulator Next Stop for the 4 and the 5, Evil Within 2 for the 4, Wolfenstein Youngblood for the 4, Daimasa for the 5, Rain World for the 4, Lake for the 4 and the 5, Conan Exiles for the 4, Rune Factory 5 Special for the 4, Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town for the 4, and Soundfall for the 4. You're also going to get the classic games, Siphon Filter, Logan, Shadow for the 4 and the 5, Blade, Dancer, Lineage of Light for the 4 and the 5, Pursuit Force for the 4 and the 5, and Ghostbusters, the video game remastered for the 4. Which I don't know why we're getting Ghostbusters, because wasn't that like servers taken off and nobody can get the platinum anymore?
That's on the 3. This is the remastered version. Because didn't they take they took the multiplayer trophies out of that, didn't they?
Yes, there are no multiplayer trophies for the remastered version.
Okay, so that answered that question.
Well, now I'm annoyed because I bought the Ghostbusters. Well, it's cheap, but I bought it last fall, and you know what? I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to complain about them giving us a game for free after I bought it. That's not their fault.
Yeah, that happens to me almost every month.
I caught myself there. I was about to complain about free games for Plus that I had previously bought.
That happens to me almost every month. Where you guys are getting The Last of Us. Yeah, I already have that.
I'm surprised that Ratchet & Clank took this long to go to the service, especially since they put Horizon Forbidden West on. I mean, a month before, but they put Horizon Forbidden West on there before they put Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart.
Did they put Forbidden West up there?
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah.
Zero Dawn.
No. It is Forbidden West. It's on the service now.
Forbidden West is on PlayStation Plus?
Extra, yeah.
No.
Yeah, it is. Dude, we talk about this every month on the show.
You know what? We probably did, and I just registered as Zero Dawn.
But no, it is a very Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is a very, very good game. You only got to play through it once to get the Platinum Trophy, but it's worth going through again to get the Omega weapons all powered up. Actually, I was wrong. It's February. So Horizon Forbidden West came to the game catalog in February.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. I must have just read it and just started thinking Zero Dawn.
That's what you get for assuming. You make an ass out of you and me, or in this case, just you.
Listen, we go through so much news, it's easy for me to make that mistake.
Or just easy for you to make mistakes in general.
Why? Why do you hate me?
I don't. Hey, I admitted to one of my mistakes on air when JT called me out on it.
Yeah, but even when I was trying to celebrate my new camera, you're like, yeah, the one on the right looks better.
Very clearly was joking.
I don't know. You struck me at the wrong. I even complained to your girlfriend.
Yeah, she said that I hate you or something like that, and that
yes,
that I was mean. It's like, I'm not mean. I'm joking. How many times have you trolled people? How many times is Nitro? How many times is Yield? Sorry, I almost said the real name there. How many times have we all...
No government names!
It's like Yield is his secret agent name, and if you let out... It's like Mission Impossible. If the knock list gets out there and all the agents' real names and stuff get out there, somebody comes and tries to take them out. So we want to protect Yield's identity for that sake, but...
Mission Impossible reference.
I clearly was joking with you, because I could clearly see which one was better, because one was more well-lit. One of them looked like you were sitting in like the basement of a federal building, and you were working like the graveyard shift.
I will tell you, I plugged it in, didn't change any settings, and that was the night and day difference of the two. So, all right. So yeah, those are the games you're gonna get in. Yield, I really wish you had Plus and Extra.
I don't.
I really wish you would let me get it for you.
I don't.
Because there are some good games in this list.
Let me go back and look at it.
I know you'd be interested in Watch Dogs.
Played it.
Legion?
I'm not interested in Legion until I play 2. Because from what I saw for the when they were, advertising it, I was not impressed.
All right.
So I own Tomb Raider, Wolfenstein, The Lake I've been interested in. That's it. Lake is the only thing of these games that I'd be interested in.
What about Dishonored?
I don't care for it, and I can always go borrow my brother's.
10-4. All right, then we're going to move on. Alex put this in the Trophy Wars Facebook group. If you're not a member there, please go join that. This is coming from IGN and is written by George Yang. Deviation Games has laid off a number of developers as Sony reevaluates its portfolio. The studio is currently working on an original AAA IP with PlayStation. Several developers from Deviation Games took to LinkedIn to announce they had been let go of their current positions. These include now former associate producer Jared Bailey, technical combat and encounter designer Luke Stumpf, and software engineer Kyle Pereiras. Not much context or information was provided about the reason for the layoffs, but Pereiras mentioned that Deviation Games, quote, ran into a difficult situation and was forced to make a number of layoffs in which I was a part of, end quote. It's unknown whether the layoffs have anything to do with PlayStation projects with Deviation Games and its current status. Then we have another conversation about layoffs, so I'm just going to lump these two together. Because Ubisoft was also hit with layoffs. And this is also coming from George Yang over at IGN. Ubisoft has laid off 60 people from its North Carolina and Newcastle, UK offices. The cuts seem to have impacted Ubisoft's customer service department the most. Quote, Ubisoft's customer relation center team is evolving its organization to focus on where we can have a significant impact while remaining steadfast in our commitment to consistency to consistently support our players anywhere in the world, end quote, the company said in a statement. Ubisoft continued, quote, we estimate that due to organizational changes, 60 team members from our offices in Cary, North Carolina in the U.S. and Newcastle in the UK could be impacted, end quote. Now, several former employees have already taken to Twitter to confirm that they have been laid off by the company. According to these employees, they were not given advance notice about the cuts. One tweet reads, I was laid off after 6 years as a lead from Ubisoft. If anyone has leads, preferably with social media positions, please let me know. Another person tweeted out, I just got let go from my job at Ubisoft in a massive layoff out of nowhere with no indication or preparation. I really just don't know how to feel. If anyone has any job leads on game audio stuff or just game tech stuff, let me know. I'm in a weird place right now. LOL. So layoffs and studio closures seem to be in season, gentlemen. Yield, we'll start with you and your comments on both layoff situations.
This is what I feared when everybody was gobbling everybody up.
Do you think this is direct relation to that?
Why wouldn't it be?
Well, because Ubisoft hasn't bought anybody recently.
That is true. But Ubisoft is delaying.
No, but Ubisoft is under bad management right now.
Yeah, but this is the customer relations center. This isn't developers or anything like that. Well, it doesn't sound like any devs got laid off. It sounds like their not their PR department, but their social media team basically is getting laid off.
They shouldn't have fired these people. They should have said, hey, we're going to have you go work on Beyond Good and Evil 2 because we need your help to get it out the door.
I chuckled a little bit.
We need you to help finish Skull and Bones.
Well, and it should be said that Deviation Games was not purchased by Sony. They were just making an exclusive game in a partnership with Sony, which
correct.
Hopefully that game is still inbound and they're still working on it. And, I get the hesitation the Yield has when it comes to acquisitions. I think that when you're being purchased by Sony or Nintendo, or even Microsoft, you're generally safer because those platform holders they've been around for a while. You don't really think that they're going to, shut down or anything. So there's some safety in that. But you would also hope that if Sony's making all these acquisitions and announcing that they're going to put more money aside for acquisitions, that they would look out for Deviation Games. And even if they don't own them, there's like some kind of help there, especially if they're going to make an exclusive game. Because to lose 100 people from that team, I don't know how big that team is, but if they're making an exclusive game for you, obviously there needs to be some sort of protection there from Sony and not just... I mean, we don't nearly know the situation. We don't know if Deviation presented something to Sony that wasn't ideal, and Sony's like, this is not what we were hoping you publish, and then Deviation's like, well, shit, we got to go back to the drawing board or something. I don't know, but it's very unfortunate that someone who partners with Sony then has to lay off 100 employees, because then if you go back later and Sony's like, we want to partner with you guys, but then like you have this history where it's like, oh, this is really negative experience. We don't really want to partner with you anymore. We don't really want your help. I mean, some people may not have that choice because some studios may need Sony's help or Microsoft or Nintendo's help to publish something, but it's just an unfortunate situation all around. And Sony needs to be aware of, after making certain statements, the kind of vibe or the kind of image they're projecting, because if it turns out that they are looking to buy people and then you have issues like this come up, studios are going to be more tentative to be purchased by you because they don't want to be closed down when things go a little sour.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it basically sucks. Anytime layoffs happen, whatnot. But as Alex pointed out, this wasn't a Sony owned studio. This was somebody that was working with Sony. Ubisoft, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about it. It seemed like Ubisoft was kicking ass for so long, and then now all of a sudden it's just delay after delay. Now you get the layoffs. I don't know. I mean, I even heard a rumor that Mirage was going to be delayed, even though we don't even have a release date for it yet. So,
well, that would make sense.
But on the flip side of the coin, in a confusing story, coming from IGN, written by Amila Zollner, Square Enix is considering creating new studios and acquiring existing ones. Today, Square Enix revealed it's thinking about creating new studios and acquiring existing studios as part of its plan to grow its in-house development resources. According to slides from the company's full earnings report released today, Square Enix plans to, quote, consider M&A, creating new studios, and taking minority stakes, end quote, to bring in more external development resources. In addition, it plans to hire more engineers and developers to, quote, to develop not only HD and smart device games, but also content for future cross-platform offerings, end quote. Square Enix also revealed the sales and profit were down during its 2023 fiscal year, though it partially attributed this to the lack of expansions in comparison to last year's DLC for Final Fantasy XIV. The company forecasted a stronger fiscal year in 2024. Earlier this year, Forspoken developer Luminous Productions was absorbed back into Square Enix to continue working on AAA games, but in March, Square Enix said the Forspoken sales were, quote, lackluster, end quote. Its president also recently stepped down after a 10-year run that ended in a controversial blockchain advocacy. So, Square Enix wants to get more studios, but they're closing studios? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Alex, what do you think?
I don't necessarily know. I mean, maybe it's a case where they didn't like what Luminous did, and they see Luminous and the management team there, and like, okay, maybe this wasn't such a good idea. We like the talent you have in the team, but we're just going to pull you back in and maybe keep you a little bit closer to where Ubisoft, or not Ubisoft, but Square Enix overall is, so we can keep a better eye on you and make sure you're doing things properly, or your projects are maybe going a little bit more positively, and basically so we can watch you a little closer. But trying to get more studios, to get more talent, grow your team so you can put more games out there and theoretically make more money. I mean, it makes sense, but again,
when your profits are down, that makes more sense.
Well, no, it makes sense that you want to have. I mean, everyone's looking to grow their catalog. They're looking to make more money, and how you do that, make more games. How do you make more games? Well, you have to have more people. But when their profits are down, I mean, spending. I mean, you're going to have to spend money at some points if you want to grow. But it just seems like they need better management of products. I don't know what the answers for Square Enix. We've talked about them and how they think that certain projects have been, disappointments because they didn't sell that well, even though, they sold a good amount of copies, at least in our eyes. And then you got a question. It's like, okay, well, what are your marketing budgets? What are your budgets for the game? How much are you paying people? I mean, you always want to, we're hoped that they're paying people, sufficiently and well so they, for their work, want, people who code games, make games, illustrators, music composers, all that to get paid well and to be able to live their lives. That's, what we all want. But Square Enix, maybe their profits are down because they spent way too much money on game development and then they, didn't manage projects very well. And then when the sales didn't come in that they wanted, I mean, very well that all these games might have disappointed them, but that's because they spent way too much money in the lead up to the release. But I mean, the idea of getting more talent and having more studios, I mean, that seems logical, but you also have to have the management teams in place and the leadership there so that things don't go out of control and don't get too wild. So they maybe need to rein in some spending on individual projects before, they start dumping way too much money into games, and then you got to sell 20 million copies of a game in order to make it profitable.
Yield?
I just don't think it's a good time to be buying up studios. I mean, you're getting ready to come out with a Final Fantasy game. I mean, it'll probably do well, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea.
No matter what they do, they need to hire a new forecast guy because how many games did they turn around and said, oh, this didn't sell as well as we thought it was going to, or this was a disappointment, or this was lackluster. Whoever that guy is, fire him and hire somebody who's realistic. Because 6 million copies of a game, that's pretty damn good. That's all I'm going to say. All right, so our last topic before we go into our topic of the week and our list of the questions. Some good news coming from George Yang over IGN. George Yang's getting some love this week. Horizon Forbidden West has sold 8 million units as the franchise passes 32 million sold. In a PlayStation blog post, studio director and studio art and animation director John Bart Van Beek said, quote, millions around the world have discovered Horizon thanks to PlayStation's subscription service and initiatives, including PlayStation Plus and Play at Home. All told, it's a milestone we never imagined possible 20 years ago when we first started making games, end quote. Guerrilla has already confirmed that a third main game in the Horizon series is currently in development at the studio, as well as an online game. Aloy is also keeping busy in other media, as there's an upcoming Horizon Netflix series in the works from Umbrella Academy director Steve Blackman. So yeah, seems like Horizon is a success for Guerrilla, and looks like we're getting more Aloy content, which is, good news all around.
Yeah.
Yield? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Yield.
I was just going to say this is besides what it sold, a lot of this is kind of the news of the week. We all pretty much knew they were going to get a third game. We had heard about the Netflix thing, so...
Yeah, I saw somewhere that said they had a name for it already, but I don't know if it was like one of those reputable sources.
Reputable.
Right.
What? No, I was gonna say it's good to see a new IP do so well, because Horizon has really been a massive hit for Sony, and because Sony believed in Guerrilla and allowed them to do it. To me, Killzone was a good game series, but an admirable shooter, but it wasn't anything special. It wasn't anything outstanding. And so to change course and go to Horizon, I think has really done wonders for the company, the studio. So good for Guerrilla Games on all this success. And this with, oh God, what's his name? Herman Hulst. With Herman Hulst leaving the studio and then going to a higher position in Sony, like for them to keep everything on track speaks to worlds of the volume of the amount of talent they have at Guerrilla. And I was reading an article on The Gamer. It's titled "Horizon Forbidden West has outsold Zero Dawn, so why does it feel like a failure?" I don't necessarily agree with that at all. I don't think it's a failure at all. But they do have one little piece of information that I will point out. And this article is written by Ben Sledge. Horizon Forbidden West has shifted more copies than its predecessor had after a year, yet it's overshadowed by every other PlayStation exclusive. Do not agree with that, because I feel like it overshadows most other exclusives that Sony has. But I will say that the fact that it's shifted more, I guess, shifted being sold more copies than the original Zero Dawn had a year in is pretty impressive because Zero Dawn's topped out 20 million copies, being released on PC in all the years it's been. So this game potentially could have a long lifespan of people buying it. Obviously it's going to come to PC at some point, and people, as they pick up the PlayStation 5, if they hadn't already played it on the 4, but, it's impressive that it has outsold Zero Dawn in its first year of release, in Zero Dawn's first year of release, but yet Zero Dawn went on to sell so many other copies. So I think there are good things in store for Horizon and for the people who play Horizon, because I think I'm super excited for Horizon 3, and by the time it comes, I will definitely be ready for it.
All right, so I just did a little research. Apparently, the Horizon series on Netflix is going to be called Horizon 2074, and this was first mentioned a year ago by Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb, which, that's a reputable source. And the rumor is Emma Watson is going to be playing Aloy.
Well, I assume they're going to start with Aloy's birth, in quotes, and how that all came about. Or maybe they will start with a young Aloy, and then her journey of discovery is kind of how we figure out everything that, how she was conceived and all that.
Yep. And it's currently being filmed now.
Well, and apparently, Sony seems to have been doing a really good job with and taking seriously its, IP that are going to the big screen or the small screen. Because I haven't seen the trailer. The trailer for Peacock's Twisted Metal is out, and I haven't really looked at it yet.
Don't even bother.
Oh, really? Because I actually had a friend who tells me it looks pretty good, but
don't even bother.
All right.
The teaser trailer that I saw was just some top down car. You see, I can't remember his first name. Mackie sitting there against a car.
Anthony
Mackie.
Yeah. And then it's the top down of him kind of driving, and then there's something else at the end, and then that's it. And I'm like, okay, why? I can definitely tell it's Twisted Metal. That's all you. That's all you did. You didn't like.
And apparently Samoa Joe is playing Sweet Tooth, but he's not being voiced by just Samoa Joe.
Yeah, is Neve Campbell in it? Because I heard she was Dollface.
I didn't see or hear that.
I don't know. All you saw was Anthony Mackie's character, and then Sweet Tooth at the end, and then that's it. And I'm just like, it is definitely a teaser trailer, because it's just bare bones trailer.
Yeah, it shows you basically nothing.
Oh,
yeah, so I'm like, so I don't know why everybody's excited other than it's Twisted Metal. I need to see another trailer to be like, okay, I would like to watch this.
So Neve Campbell is in it, but she's a character called Raven. She's not Dollface, which is a character I remember from Twisted Metal Black. Will Arnett is the voice of Sweet Tooth.
Yes,
yeah.
But Samoa Joe is the body.
Yes, he is, and I think that works pretty well. Because Samoa Joe, I don't necessarily know. We'll have to hear Will Arnett when he talks, but Neve Campbell, Will Arnett, Anthony Mackie. There's some big names behind it. So, are you saying that it doesn't look good, or that just you didn't get very much from the trailer?
There's nothing in the trailer.
Yeah, there's nothing from the trailer.
It looked fine.
Yeah,
but there's nothing in the trailer that's gonna say that gets you hyped other than it looking good. It doesn't look like, there's nothing in the trailer that says they're sticking to the source material. There's nothing about the story. It's all action. It looks good, but there's nothing to it. Sorry, Yield, I cut you off too.
No, you're right.
So, all right. At this time, we're gonna throw it to our listener questions. We have a couple. So,
time to check my social media.
And you would think that I'd have this up.
You would think.
I did have it up, and then I switched off the page. Hold on, I'm sorry. Gotta scroll through all the Mother's Day posts.
Did you see the one question from V on the Discord?
I think it's the same one that she just posted in the group. But I'll pull that up as I'm trying to get to these list of questions. Here we go. First question from Matt G. If you could have pizza with any person in gaming history, real or fictional, Well, I would think it'd have to be fictional if it's game industry. Who would it be?
Not a PlayStation person, but I'd have to say Shigeru Miyamoto. Growing up to play on the Nintendo and just how much he seems to enjoy games and like just this guy who just has that kid-like charm to him where he's always excited about everything and so excited about Nintendo projects. I would just probably love to sit down with Shigeru Miyamoto and have a piece of pizza.
Okay. The question from the Discord is the same question she posted in the Facebook group.
Okay.
Yield. I'm sorry. Your answer?
Nolan North.
Is that?
That's it?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say like Tricky. I thought he had more. He was just kind of like.
No, I have my answer, but I'm debating whether I want to switch now. My answer is Hideo Kojima.
So you all could just over pizza bitch about Konami.
Basically, yes.
Zing!
All right. Alexander wants to know, what do you think of Zelda? Now, I'm assuming he means the series Zelda, but I guess it's open to what do you think of the character of Zelda?
Well, it's hard to tell. I think that so about Zelda the character, Princess Zelda, I will say that I like Zelda as a character, and I think that really that's where a lot of the depth in the story come from. Like, if there's going to be any heart in Zelda, it's going to come from Princess Zelda. It's not going to come from Link, because Link is just kind of like
Silent type.
He's silent, but it's because you are supposed to be Link, and he's not going to sit there. It's not going to be like a character from Grand Theft Auto where they tell you what they're thinking. You are Link, and you are supposed to be the one like putting your personality into him and your feelings into him. He's kind of like a blank slate, and it's just supposed to be you. But I wish my favorite Zelda is the Zelda from Ocarina of Time, where she's also the Sheik. So I feel like I like Zelda when she's not just like, oh, Link, save me, Link, save me. I like that, because in Super Smash Brothers, she's one of the fighters. I like it more when Zelda is more of a fighter and more independent, instead of being more like trapped and someone has to save her. But overall, I like Zelda as a character. As a series, I do love Zelda, but I gotta say that I haven't played Breath of the Wild, I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom. I don't even know if I'm going to buy Tears of the Kingdom. There are a few Zelda games like Wind Waker that I would like to go back and play. I mean, I've played Twilight Princess, I've played Skyward Sword, I have played Ocarina, I've played A Link to the Past, I played the original game. I would like to play Wind Waker at some point, and
very good. I like what they do with that game.
I want to play Majora's Mask, but again, the time constraint is just, it turns me off so much. I don't.
What, with the moon?
Yeah, the one where the moon is crashing into the earth. I mean, I hear about like there's 4 dungeons in that game, and I hear a lot of it's side quest, and it's just kind of like this seems like a super impressive game, and I understand why a lot of people have like a lot of affinity for it. But to me, it's like it's not a kind of game I want to play because the focus to me isn't in the right place. And again, if you're going to make me hurry through something, I don't like that. So overall, very positive on the Zelda franchise, and I understand why it usually heralds 10 out of 10s or close to that when it comes to game scores. But as far as like Tears of the Kingdom, I'm not saying I'm not going to play it, but I think that, like I've said before, if it's less like Breath of the Wild and more like Darksiders 2, where you have an open world kind of, and Darksiders 2 wasn't like completely open world, but where you have big open areas and dungeons within those to explore. Like, I want a mix of Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time. I don't want it to be just like Breath of the Wild. So yeah, if there's more of a mix in the old and the new, then I'm fine with that. But there's just, no desire for me to play another Zelda game after that shift was made in Breath of the Wild, which I understand they had to evolve the series. I totally get it. And it's worked out because there are some, like IGN posted its list of top 10 Zelda games, and guess what's number 1 and 2? It's Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. So I just talked a lot, so if anybody else wants to answer the question. But I assume that the question was about Tears of the Kingdom, since, it just released the other day.
All right, Yield, I'll go to you.
I really enjoy the series. I've played every Zelda game, console Zelda game, up to the Switch. I have yet to play Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. I want to play them just so I can see if everybody's hype is as real as they say it is, or if what my brother says is more true
It's not a Zelda game.
No. It is his thing is, it is a fantastic open world game. It's just not a good Zelda game.
All right, we're just going to agree to disagree because I'm not going down this path again.
Anyway, I haven't played the game. I really like the series. Fell in love with it with the NES. Zelda 2 I couldn't get with, but the rest of them I have enjoyed.
I like Zelda. It happens to be one of my favorite series of all time. As far as a character, I mean, Zelda to me always seemed like the stereotypical damsel in distress. Never really had an opinion on her particularly.
I liked, like Alex said, I liked how on Ocarina of Time she became more or less. She wasn't the damsel in distress, whereas I am now a fighter, and I've liked that how they've had that going forward.
And to be fair, she had her own guardian in that, Impa. But even though Impa was a badass fighter, she still Zelda could still hold her own as Sheik. So,
all right, next question, which is kind of a weird question. Gareth wants to know, if you had to liken one of the Trophy Horse hosts to a bird, which host would be that bird, and state the reason as to why?
So Tricky, I know exactly what Tricky is. Yield, do you with me on this?
Well, let me hear what you're saying. We may be on the same wavelength.
The bald eagle.
I was going to say the pelican.
What? So was I.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was. I was going to call you a pelican.
Because
you want to know why?
Pelicans typically... Well, here, you go, Yield.
I was going to call you a pelican because pelicans have no balls.
Well, also, the pelican tends to have a big mouth, so...
You guys can't see it because I don't have the camera up, but I'm fucking you guys off right now.
So, I'm going to have to go far back in this conversation. This actually spawned from a conversation on I don't know, what is the actual competition's name? Yield?
One.
The True Trophy, the Great True Trophy something competition for...
So, yeah, apparently, Tricky, it came up how you like to talk a lot of shit, and
You were going to be in the top 5 in the rarity by the end of the year.
I'm in the top 10 right now.
And that technically you are in the top 5. You just haven't synced all your trophies yet.
I'm in the top 10.
So, again...
If I did my math right, I'm in the top 10.
Well, I'll tell you what. And I'm going to say this now. You mysteriously end up in the top 5 at the end of the year.
Uh-huh.
I will call you out. I will call shenanigans and call you out.
Why?
Because every week you come on here, What have you been playing? I've been playing the Division and something else. You haven't played, or you've been playing your rat plats that haven't garnered any points.
Right.
So on this show, you have admitted that you haven't been playing anything.
But
so if you're hiding these trophies to make this valiant run up the leaderboard at the end, it's like I liken it to somebody who started a relay race or started a marathon, and they started at the start-finish line, and everybody
caught a cab to the finish line,
and everybody sees him go. But then miraculously, he appears at the end, 200 feet from the finish line, running across in the top 5, and it's like, well, where was he from there to there? Well, no one saw him. No one knows what happens from there to there. So do we know, if anything, did he really run the race?
Well, okay. Valid point, but I told you my strategy. I didn't hide my strategy from you guys. I told you exactly what I was going to do, in which I was going to play games and I was going to hide the trophies until the last week of December so nobody could turn around and say, I got those points. This way, at the last minute, nobody can turn around and get all the trophies that I got to 1, match the points, 2, also drop the rarity.
Well,
So if I have just I'm not
no, go ahead.
I'm not giving you a realistic game, but let's just say that Barbie Horse Adventures has nothing but rares and ultra rares.
Okay.
If I've gotten the platinum in Barbie Horse Adventures and I hide it, and then at the last week I show up and I say, all my trophy stamps show that I got it in 2023, and nobody played this game, because if I show that I played the Barbie Horse Adventures now, you have now until December to play that game.
That's true.
Not saying you would yield.
No,
but you could play that game. So 1, you're matching points. So now I didn't gain any points on you, because now you have the same exact points that I have for the game. And the more people that play it, the more the rarity goes up.
Well, my argument with the rarity is there's only like 20 of us, 25 of us in this competition. All 25 of us could play the same game, and it's not going to affect the rarity on PSN profiles.
Well, okay, that fair enough.
Fair enough. But I understand your argument about the points. My beef with it is you're hiding your games.
Which is within the rules, is it not?
It might be, because Gareth didn't, I don't believe he said whether you could or not. I feel it's dirty.
Okay, I'm not arguing that it's not dirty, but it's not like I'm doing some strategy and just not letting you know what I'm doing. I'm legit telling you I'm hiding games.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be secretive, but it's like I even said to Gareth when he was on the show, I said, there's nothing stopping me from hiding my games until the last week, and then poof, boom, there's my points.
Yeah, because you've got your timestamps. I knew my disagreement with it you've got timestamps, so
right. So I mean, if I legit get them in 2023, there should be no discrepancy on when they were earned.
Because ultimately you've got the timestamps, but I'm telling you, I know I'm not the only one that's going to sit here and go, it feels wrong.
Oh, I understand 100% why you say it feels wrong, but I'm not cheating. I'm not doing anything. I'm keeping it legit.
So my thing is, Tricky, you're not going to be able to, you alone is not going to be able to sway the rarity of any of these trophies. And also, from where you started to where we're ahead, you have to play the games at the rate that we all do, and I don't think you can catch up getting uncommons and all that kind of stuff, because you're talking to somebody who's gone through like the entire list on PSN profiles of ultra rare and very rare platinum trophies, and I look at most of those games and be like, I'm not playing this fucking game, so I definitely know you're not going to do it either.
Well, you say that, but you don't know.
Oh no, Tricky, I've seen the list. I know that you're not going to play most of these games, because again, I'm not either. And a lot of these games, the reason they're ultra rares is because the difficulty of the platinum trophy is 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 or something like that. There are some games out there you can find that have easy ultra rares, but they're few and far between. So that as someone who's studied a lot of these games on PSN profiles to find the next game I want to play, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to play most of those games, which is why I don't think you can catch up all that much.
What if I told you, and I know you're not going to believe me, what if I told you that right now, if I unhid all the trophies I have right now, I'd be clearly in the top 10.
Well, considering that there's a big group of people.
I know you don't.
There's a big group of people outside the top 10 that you probably could overtake very easily if you stop playing spam and the Division 2.
Well, the only thing I can tell you guys is we'll see at the end of the year.
Do you want to put your money where your mouth is? Do you want to?
I already put my money where my mouth is.
Unhide. I promise I will not go look at your trophy list, but will you unhide on PSN profiles and we'll see where you are next week?
But then everybody can see.
I'm telling you I won't. For the sake, I can't make anybody else.
Okay, you won't, but that doesn't mean anybody else won't.
You're saying this, are you willing to back it up and unhide them? Because honestly, Tricky, like
I'll tell you what. I'll do this. If Rick agrees to pay up the bet when this show releases, I will unhide all the trophies and
Why
show that
would-
I'm in the top 10.
Why would he pay up to bet? You have to be in the top 5 by the end of the year.
Because I'm giving up my strategy right off the start. So if he's willing to concede the bet and say, okay, you did a lot better than I thought you were talking a lot of shit, but you were able to back it up. If Rick is willing to pay up the bet and say, okay, the bet's off, I'm paying it off because I lost, then I can release my strategy. But if he's not willing to do that, then it doesn't benefit me to release all my trophies now because we still got, what, 7 months?
Yeah, 6-7 months left.
Tricky, I'm literally just asking you to back up your words and you're not willing to do it. Because why would Rick agree to that if he's probably still going to be ahead of you? He's ahead of me. I'm still going to be ahead of you.
But this isn't a bet about who's ahead of who. This is a bet of whether or not I can get into the top 5. And if I'm going to release what I've been playing and sabotage myself, why would I do that?
Tricky, you're not sabotaging yourself. You're just putting yourself on the same level as the rest of us who have our trophy list visible. And you're not going to sit here and talk your way of a bet by saying, well, if I'm in the top 10, then pay up the bet because you lost. No, that's ridiculous because that's not part of the bet.
Gil, do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. It's just foolish. You're saying that if you release your trophy list and everyone can see what you're playing, what your strategy is and the games you've played, then then if you're inside the top 10, which the original bet was for the top 5, then Rick has to pay up even though you haven't completed the requirements for you to win in the bet. All because you're giving up the games, not your strategy, the games that you play. We know what the strategy is. Ultra rares and very rares and rares as best as you can get.
Right, but if I give that up, then I'm sabotaging myself to make the top 5. So at that point, if I'm sabotaging myself to make the top 5, then I feel like the bet should be paid up.
No, but you're not saying that. You said you would be in the top 10. You didn't say the top 5.
Oh, you're not understanding what I'm saying.
I am perfectly understanding what you're saying.
If I release my strategy and show all the games, all it takes is somebody taking a screenshot and going, okay, Tricky's been playing all these games. I'm going to go play these games. And if you were, 6, 7, 8 in the contest, you know that you can go play those games. And now I can't pass you with the games I've played. So I've sabotaged myself from getting into the top 5 because now numbers 6 through 10 or down can all play those games and those points are negated. It's the same thing that if I went to the poll booth and I voted Republican and you voted Democrat, our votes are now null and void because they cancel each other out. It's the same thing. So if I sabotage myself from being able to get into the top 5, then the bet needs to be settled. If I this is my strategy and I want to get into the top 5, I need to keep the games I'm playing hidden to allow me to get to the top 5 and not give somebody an opportunity to play and plat those games before the end of the year.
Again, Tricky.
That's what I'm saying.
We understand that. We completely understand that, Tricky. But what I'm saying is you told Yield a moment ago that if you unhid your trophies, you'd be in the top 5, in the top 10 right now. Which you're saying that if you give up your strategy, then whether or not you're in the top 5 or not, if you're in the top 10, you should be able to be paid up on that bet, even though the original bet is for the top 10, or not the top 5.
Because now,
Tricky, the rest of us have our trophies visible. You're just bringing yourself onto our playing field. You're not sabotaging yourself. You are doing what all the rest of us have done.
I respectfully disagree with you.
Okay, well, the rest of us don't have trophies hidden while your trophies are hidden. So that puts you on a different playing field. And by the way, I come on here and say, yeah, I've been playing this game that has this many rare trophies and this many ultra rares. Like, I don't hide the stuff that I've been playing.
Because you don't have money on the line. I have money on the line.
Okay, well, I hate to say this.
Listen, I understand your point. I'm not arguing what you're saying. Your logic is sound. I'm just saying this is the way I'm playing the game. I'm sorry if you don't agree with me. I'm sorry if you don't like it, but that's the way I'm playing this game because I made a bet, and to this date, knock on wood, every bet that I've made on this podcast, with help from others as well, I've won every single bet that I've said. So when I say something on this show, my integrity's on the line, I'm going to win the bet. Now, with that being said, let's go back to the questions at hand. So I'm a Pelican. Who's Yield, Alex?
Well, Yield is very tall, so I would say stork.
Okay. Yield, you said I'm a pelican. What is Alex?
A bird.
See, I wish I always wore tuxedos now or suits to work because I'd be called a penguin, but...
You could be a penguin.
Damn
doesn't
it!
apply.
You stole my answer, Alex.
Oh, that what you would say? All right, that's cool.
I was gonna say you both the penguins.
Hey, I like penguins.
But also, you hate the penguins, so tricky, so...
Beware the penguins.
That was gonna be my answer too. I was gonna say you both penguins because I hate you both.
Beware the
All right, you got my answer. Yield, go ahead.
Ah, I'm trying to think here.
Damn it, Alex, you stole my answer from me. You stole my glory.
A flamingo.
I am very flamboyant.
And why? And why? Because he's pink and stands on one leg?
No, that's a flamingo.
Is that what you said?
Is that what I said?
That's what I heard.
Oh, that's not what I meant, but that's what I said. I was actually thinking peacock. But I said flamingo. I'll go with flamingo. That's what I said.
That's what you said. All right, next question. V wants to know, what's the best and worst moms in video games? This is a tough one.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't be very good at this one.
Best mom?
I can give you my answers right now.
All right, Alex,
And
go
you're
ahead,
probably
please.
going to hate me, Tricky, because the best mom one is probably one you would pick. But so, worst mom is the Pokemon moms, because they send 10-year-olds or however old out into the world to catch little monsters with not shit. They're like, hey, go enjoy your adventure, be safe, with no supervision, and going out into the wilds and battling people in fights and, Pokemon fights and stuff. It's doesn't seem like the best thing for a mom to do when you're getting ready to, just sending a kid that young out into the wild. Not good. Not good. Also with like very little money or resources. Also, best mom, what is the name of Kratos' wife in Ragnarok and God of War?
Faye?
Faye, yeah, I'll put her for best mom. Because she seemed to love her son and her husband and was, the person who made Kratos like soften his edge. Seems like she made Kratos a better person. I'll say Faye.
All right, Yield?
I'm not. Wouldn't even have a begin to know where to start.
Worst mom. See, I'm torn because I want to say Ellie's mom from The Last of Us. Because she put herself in danger when she was pregnant, causing Ellie.
You did, but wow. That was that shown in the
Oh, I'm
game?
sorry. I'm sorry. That was a spoiler for the show. I apologize.
Well, but not just that, but that was for the TV show.
But it's considered canon, though.
But that's TV show. I wouldn't consider that game.
Also, to be fair, it's one story beat of a show, and it happens at the beginning of the episode, so...
Best mom. I don't know. I don't really know moms in video games. Am I just drawing a blank? I don't know. V says her answers are Mad Moxie from Borderlands for best, and worst is the worst is Bridget Tenenbaum from BioShock.
Yep.
Neither game I played.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. I played Borderlands, but I used the one-shot gun and unlimited health hack to get that platinum. So.
Oh, you hacked to get the platinum?
So
somebody dropped a gun and a shield, and I just couldn't die.
So weak. I had the platinum long before someone gave me that mysterious gun, that one-shot gun. Looks like the little cricket. In a nutshell, the best way to describe it from Men in Black. I took down a Crawler Max with that gun. Was so disappointed because I mean, literally one shot, boom, it's dead. You platinum the game that way.
I did.
So weak.
All right. So at this time, we're going to throw across the pond for Gareth and the rarity update.
Welcome back to another edition of the Rarity Update. Apologies for not recording one last week. It was a pretty hectic bank holiday weekend over in the UK for us. Something had to give, and unfortunately it was the audio recording for the Rarity Update. There was a written one. That can be found on the Facebook Trophy Looting group. It's also been posted in the Loot Bros Discord as well, so you can see it there. It was a busy one, so apologies for that. But we are back, and a pretty monumentous occasion to say the least. I thought we were going to get a full house of people earning trophies this week. We were one person shy of doing that, and it's probably not the person that you would automatically think. So we ought to start this monumentous occasion in style, which. Before we get into the update. So as we go into the Rarity League table, we start at the bottom, and without further ado, yes, we have it. We have our first trophy from OPZ. One Plat Zach has earned a trophy this week for the first time this year in Gundam Evolution. Great. But let's not get too carried away because it is only a 62.27% rarity, so it doesn't actually score many points, but it's baby steps, and that is a baby step forward, and it's great to see welcoming back Zach into the PlayStation fold after all the turmoil and turbulence of the announcements recently happening on the Xbox side. Phil Spencer's interview, devastating news for the Xbox community. And as we've seen Styling coming back into it, we've seen Kalai playing regularly. We've now got CJ as well, mashing out points galore. And now we've finally got Zach, who has come back to the PlayStation side with the Xbox community, the Xbox side on its knees as it stands. But there we go. 2 points. That's his season's tally. Hasn't improved, hasn't changed, but we are on a trophy, which is progress. Next up is Kalai. 3 weeks running. 2 points this week edition. So it seems to be the standard 2, but that's 3 weeks running that she has scored points. She's moved on to 32. Adrenaline in Slay the Spire at 38.70% gets her those 2 points, and that pulls her to within 1 point now of Darth Knight, who is the one person who didn't achieve a trophy, letting the side down. But, you know, minus 7 points is an improvement on last week's score, so make of it what you will on that. But he's dropped down from 40 points down to 33 with a score of minus 7 this week and not earning a trophy. So Kalai has him in his sights, and she'll be looking to move out of the bottom 2 with she'll only need a couple of points. If she carries on the same sort of momentum that she has been doing, she'll do that next week. In 22nd place is Departed 570. Again, it's another 2-pointer, playing a bit of Dead Island 2. His rarest trophy didn't actually score him any points because it was at 62.1%, which means that his 2 points has come from legacy trophies. But points are points. So he's on 112, so quite a bit of a gap between him and Darth Knight and Kalai. Next up in 21st place is Tross. He had 8 points this week, moving him on to 118. So he's pulled away. They were level, him and Departed last week, but he has now pulled clear, 6 points clear on 118, and he's still going through Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and his rarest trophy in that was at 21.31%. We have in 20th place. A big week for the Brain 76. I think this is probably his biggest week of the contest so far. 46 points, moving him to 197. And his rarest trophy was in Saints Row, Face Off It. And it's worth of 5 points as well. It's 8.81%. So well done to Riley. So he's only 3 points short of the 200, and he has closed the gap on Stink Palm on Jared. So Jared has moved on to 216. He had 200 points. He's had 16 this week. And again, they seem to have come from legacy trophies, to be fair, because his rarest trophy was in Torchlight 2 at 53.98%. So if he was able to just sort of get a couple of the qualifying trophies, that could really, if you had your score being impacted by 16 every week just from legacy trophies, you'd be posting a good score each week. So come on, so let's just try and get a bit rarer on those trophies, please, because you aren't too far behind Tricky Mick, who you're 15 points behind Tricky Mick. Tricky's on 231. He had 3 points this week. Rarest trophy in Gotham Knights, Icebreaker. But only 3 points this week. So I think this week Tricky will really need to be starting to pick up that Pele controller and start playing a few more games. He isn't too far though behind Homer. Homer Gets Duffed is on 240. Again, fairly subdued week from Homer. He had sort of picked up pace about a month ago when he got his PS5. He has dropped down to slowed the pace down a little. He had 2 points this week, taking him to 240. He's 9 ahead of Tricky. His rarest trophy was a good one though. It was the Platinum Trophy in Diablo 3, which a couple of people were able to achieve this week. So, with that being said, that means then if his Platinum, he only got 2 points, and he got the Platinum, which was 13.29, which was a rare. He must have lost points on legacy trophies for that to work out. Next up, 16th is JT. He had 4 points this week, so he's now a clear 50 points ahead of Homer. His rarest trophy was an uncommon, so just 1 point worth, and that was in Horizon Forbidden West at 44.21%. So obviously JT has won. That splits his time between the different platforms, and that occasionally affects his rarity score, depending on what platform he's been playing each week. So it looks like he's probably been trying to garner a bit of support for the Xbox side, perhaps, maybe to, after recent revelation. Next up, going into the top 15 now, we've got Joe, Mr. TMNT, who has dropped a place. He had 11 points this week, 466 total. So it's a big jump up there of 176 points now between 15th and 16th. So we've kind of got a little mini league going on between the bottom section of that table from 16th down. It will take some, certainly on the scores that have been posted recently, it will take some sort of, monumental effort really to break into the top 15 for any of the ones below there, considering out of those bottom 9, only 2 achieved double figures and 1 actually was negative. So JT is 15th, so that's 466. His rarest trophy was in Dungeon Punks at 30.49%, and he is not too far behind Sadak. Sadak actually overtook him thanks to 22 points this week, and he did achieve a good an ultra rare trophy in Gauntlet, Accomplished Master at 4.53%. He's on to 475, so there is only 9 points difference between those two, and they've sort of swung back and forth fairly regularly, and it looks, with it being that close, that'll probably continue to happen. In 13th place, we've got Dupes. He dropped down 2 places. He's on 538 points. He had 9 points this week, and he is still going hard on Final Fantasy. He's gone through consecutively 1 through 6, still playing 6 as it stands, but his rarest trophy was in Final Fantasy 5, and that was at 33.64%. And one of the we actually had the people who overtook him was Diego. Diego had 36 points this week, taken him to 563. And his rarest trophy was actually, we'll come on to it in a bit, was the rarest trophy of the week. And just to give you an idea of how competitive the rarest trophies of the contest are, his rarest trophy of the week was at 1.19%, but that still wasn't good enough to be able to get him into the top 5 rarest trophies of the competition. So well done to Diego for getting that trophy at least, and that was for Challenge Master in Binary Domain. He's on, as I said, 563, and he's about 33 points off MZ Nitro, who had another cracking week. 80 points this week as he's battling to keep his team in the GTTSC event. They're struggling a little bit this week. Both him and George were eliminated from the solo event, but they are battling for their lives in the team event still. And he's had 80 points, taking him to 596, and that took him above Sadak and Dupes. His rarest trophy again was an ultra rare. So his ultra rares, I think he's now on 6, and all 6 have come in the last 2 weeks, probably as a result of competing in the GTTSC event. So that was the deep end in Minecraft at 4.74%. Next up, as we enter the top 10, we've got Resident Daryl still holding his position in that top 10. Though MZ has closed the gap, there is just 10 points between them now. Daryl is on 606 points, and his rarest trophy was Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, which I believe is the platinum in that. So that was at 13.5%. So that was a good high-scoring trophy for the GTTSC event. So well done to Daryl on that. He's contributed massively this week for our team event, over 2,000 points. And he's obviously continuing to score well in this contest as well as a result. In 9th place, staying in 9th. So the rest of the table in terms of positions is as you were from previous week, but obviously some people are closing the gaps on others or extending them. But Yield is in 9th place still. He had 11 points this week, moving him to 657. So Daryl is closing the gap on Yield there. There's now 51 points between them, so that's certainly something Daryl will have his eyes on. But like his brother, his rarest trophy of the week was the platinum in Diablo 3, so 13.29%. Next up, we have Affectatious Donk, CJ, again in the GTTSC event. He had 34 points this week. So he's pulled away a little bit from Yield. Yield had caught up to him, but CJ's accelerated it over the last couple of weeks just to put a bit of ground between him and Yield. And he, as I said, he's on 720 points, so it's about 63 point difference. His rarest trophy, he's obviously seeing how rare Styling's trophies are within the Train Sim World DLC packs and whatnot. He's gone Train Sim World 3, and that's at 10.45%. Not as rare as some of the ones that Styling gets, but it's still a good trophy to get. Moving into the top 7 is Corey. Corey had 21 points, 760 points overall. Looks like Corey's been playing the new game that came out on PS Plus, the Essential, which was Chivalry 2. So if you like I think it's online only, but it's looks quite an interesting game if you're into those sorts of things. But he's been progressing well in that game, looking at his trophies that he's achieved. But as I said, he had 21, taking him to 760, so he's 40 points clear of CJ. But 203 points. Then we have a sort of a jump to Alex. He has 963. So as I said, 203 points between him and Corey. He had 15 points this week, as he is continuing. I think, though, it just missed the cutoff for this week, but his rarest trophy came in again, another PS Plus Essential giveaway, which was Tales of Iron. I think that was given away last month. It was at 43.36%, but I think since then I'm pretty sure that I have seen him achieve the Platinum Trophy. If not, it was certainly the story completion, but pretty sure so that'll count for next week if he has got the Platinum on that. So he is he's literally right in the middle, bang, between in terms of points difference between the position above and the position below. So as I said, 203 points above Corey, but he is 206 points below Redbeard Rick in 4th place. Rick had a massive week, 125 points scored. Again, another competitor in the Team Loot Bros. A lot of his trophies are rarity. He did have the second rarest trophy of the week as well, but he's gone back to playing VR. So VR trophies are traditionally rarer than a lot of the others. So he's no surprise that the game he's playing, which is Skyrim in VR, that he's had, that was Master Criminal at 1.96%, and his 125 points has caught him up significantly with me. I had a sort of he's not in 4th place, he's in 5th place, so I'm in 4th. But he's caught me up, which I had a nice sort of gap going into sort of this week or two, but he's wiped that out virtually completely. So there's only 11 points difference between Rick and I. Now I had 45 points this week. I'm on 1,180. My rarest trophy was a very rare one in Angry Birds Star Wars, which was a game that I hadn't played since 2015 or something like that. And I saw it, I was just going flicking through my library of sort of games that I could just sort of play. I think it was the reason I put it on was because the challenge for last week was in the GTTSC event was to earn 20 trophies from either games that had Star or Wars in the title or trophies that had the same Star or Wars. So when I was going through, I'd achieved that in quite a few games, and I needed about another 3 or 4 just to sort of top it up to get to that 20. And rather than starting a brand new game of something I didn't own or purchasing a new game, I just went back to that and was able to sort of knock out a couple of trophies. And since then, I've sort of managed to do a few more as well. So I'll have probably my rarest trophy next week will be from that as well, I would have thought, because I've already earned that today, which has missed this cutoff. Massive jump. So the top 3 are sort of clear of me and Rick, though Rick will probably have more of a say in it than I will of trying to catch that third person. Third person probably won't be third in a couple of weeks, but the way he's motoring, which is I'm styling on you, bro. Again, 194 points, 1,436 for a total. Absolutely flying at the moment. He's sort of, people are laying down the challenges and he's sort of wiping the floor with them at the moment. So he has progressed right up through. And the more he has progressed, the more he seems to have played. So albeit it's all from the same game or sort of same genre of games, it's all the Train SimWorld stuff. The rarity on those is because the DLCs, looking at the owners, doesn't garner too much support in terms of purchasing from people. You look at the owners of the DLC, it's about 30, 35, 40 people. And if only sort of 2 or 3 people have got that trophy, then obviously that means the rarity on it is going to be so low. And And that's what's happened in this case as well. So his rarest trophy was also the third rarest of the week at 1.98% in Train Sim Mod 3 BR363 Building Experience. In second place, it's just keeping his nose ahead of styling, is Marky Fraser. He passed the 1,500 point mark. He had 120, so not to be sniffed at. That's our third highest score of the week, which is a really good effort to get to 120, considering we've got few people who have not earned that all year. But his rarest trophy was in Risk Urban Assault at 3.74%. As I said, he's on 1,508. So he's got a lead of about 70 odd over Styling. It'll be interesting to see what happens with those two next week, whether Styling can actually overtake Mark Fraser or whether Fraser will hang on in there. And top of the pile, as usual, but lead cut slightly, was Mies Goatsalot. I say cut slightly, it was cut by about 79 points, so a decent chunk taken off. But he is comfortably ahead still of over 700 points clear, 2,217 points. 41 is his lowest, probably since the opening week of the contest. Probably still reeling from the fact that he dropped out of the solo GTTSC event. Bit of an unexpected one on that, given how the scores he was posting and the sort of bonuses he had still in hand. But I think he felt that he could get away with it. However, the scoring in that contest is extremely high at the moment, or this year compared to how it has been in previous years, and he suffered by dropping out. But his rarest trophy was in Goat Simulator. The world is your canvas at 10.10%. So the rarest trophies of the week. In fifth place, we have Accomplished Master in Gauntlet, 4.53%, and that is Sadak. And that was for taking 10,000 cumulative damage as the wizard. In fourth is Marky Fraser, the Ultimate Challenge in Risk Urban Assault, 3.74%, and that was for winning 7 games in a row. I'm Silent Bro, Train Sim Mod 3 DLC, BR363 Building Experience, and that was for complete the DB BR363 scenario Cement Mixer. No idea what that means, or it is. Redbeard Rick, Master Criminal in Skyrim VR, 1.96%, and that was a bounty of 1,000 gold in all 9 holds. And the rarest trophy of the week was Diego with Challenge Master in Binary Domain at 1.19%, so a really good effort there to get into that, and that was for clearing all online challenge modes. So that's a PS3 game, so that's some effort to complete all the PS3 online challenges. So well done to you. Well done to all 5 of you, actually, who got into the rarest trophies of the week. Good to note that all 5 were ultra rares this week, actually, as well, so nothing higher than a 4.53%. Weekly platinums, as we go through the rarest, for most common to rarest is, so The Brain 76, not a game that I'm familiar with or even heard of, actually, let alone familiar with, is Sleeping Guy. That's at 67.76 rarity, so it doesn't sound like it's a rat plat or spam or anything like that. If it's at 67, that's low for one of those types of games, though not a difficult one by the looks of it. Affectatious Donk at 66.67 for Instant Sports All-Stars. So well done to CJ on that one. We had JT, That Wants to Go, Spider-Man Remastered, 62.72%. Do I say well done on this one or not? Because this was, when I looked through it, timestamp was for every single trophy was the same. So he's obviously done the old auto pop on that one. Platinum's a platinum though, so well done. Next up we have Yield, who is first of 2 platinums. It was in Guns, Gore and Cannoli 2. I think he did the first one last week. He's done the second one this week. That's at 56.25%. Next up is myself, with Mummy Pinball, 21.72%. It's janky, which is why I think it's such a low rarity. It's not a difficult game really, but it takes a bit of time and effort. And if you're not sort of patient with it, you'll just give up because it's not that great to be investing loads of time in it. So you could do with, if you're going to knock it out, you want to knock it out fairly quick. But next up we have both Homer and Yield is second. They both obviously must have been playing together, but they had it at for Diablo 3 at 13.29%. Resident Daryl for Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. In fact, this one is ever so slightly more common than the last one I've just read out, but that was 13.58%, so well done to you on that one. But the rarest platinum of the week goes to Redbeard Rick, and he did it on another PS3 game, which was Worms 2 Armageddon, and that was an ultra rare one at 4.84%. Well done to everybody again this week. Paul, again, I hope you're enjoying listening to this. Sorry that wasn't one last week, but I will try to get them done each week. Certainly up to holiday, there may have to be a little break when I'm away for sort of nearly 2 weeks. I'll see what I can sort out though. And yeah, that's it for me. And enjoy the rest of your days, whatever you're doing. Cheers.
All right, we're back. Thank you, Gareth, for the rarity update. Appreciate it. All right, so going back to our topic of the week. Why can't I ever keep my tabs organized? Full disclosure, I did not read this article, so this may be a dud. Just giving you a heads up. Coming from IGN, there is 10 game events to know about in June of 2023. Now, you guys remember that E3 has been canceled, but there are some gaming events going on. I'm going to list some of them, and let's have a little bit of a conversation about each one. How about that? Good?
Possibly.
Starting June 1st to the 30th, IGN is going to do their Summer of Gaming 2023. Basically, they're going to release a game or a spotlight on the game for that entire time. On June 7th, we're going to get the Guerrilla Collective Showcase. Now, I'm not exactly sure if that's Guerrilla Games, but I would assume that if it's Guerrilla Games, we're probably getting more on.
Is it spelled
Horizon?
like Gorilla?
Guerilla.
Yes,
so
it is.
yes. I would assume that on June 7th, we're going to get more information on Aloy and Horizon, possibly a new IP. Crickets.
Oh, you're passing that off to one of us?
No, I think that they're.
I formed that in a question, but yes.
I think that they're working on 2 different Horizon games right now, so I don't think we're going to pass by Horizon anytime soon. The third game may be the final installment in Aloy's journey, but I think there's still more to come when it comes to Horizon.
I think if you get anything out of Guerrilla, it'll be about their overly pimped multiplayer game. That's just my personal opinion. It'll be overly pimped. But I don't think you'll hear much out of Horizon 3 except for maybe we're working on it. You're not going to see anything else. Which really, if that's all that it is, you would have to think there'd have to be. Alex is right. If they're working on 2 Horizon games, there's really nothing else to work on. But if you're having your own showcase, hopefully you're showing something else other than just that, because that's really a waste of a showcase, in my humble opinion.
All right. The next thing we have is on June 8th, the next day, we're going to have Summer Game Fest, which is Jeff Keighley's mid-year video game show that we get. So we'll probably get some game announcements there. Anything you think that we're going to get announced there? Anything you possibly want to see there?
No, because I don't even know what to think of when it comes to like what could be coming out other than what's announced. It's too early for Horizon 3. I mean, Sony's probably going to save any of its big announcements for its own show. So whatever Jeff Keighley shows is likely going to be something like, I don't know, you may see Mortal Kombat 12 at Jeff Keighley's show. I could see that happening.
I think I see a lot of I see a lot of indies.
That's what I was going to say. You're going to see a lot of indie stuff.
All right. 2 days later, on June 10th, we're going to get the Future Game Show, which I have no idea what that is.
It's the future.
Future. On June 11th, we're going to get 3 different things. We're going to get the Final Fantasy 16 pre-launch celebration. We're going to get the Xbox showcase, and then we're going to get the Starfield Direct.
Okay. Can I
also, I'm sorry, hold on. I don't know why it's out of order, but we're also going to get the PC gaming show on that day.
So, you're going to have an Xbox showcase.
Aha.
Which, well, I'm hoping they show games, but Phil Spencer is in disagreement with this philosophy. Now I'm going to poke fun at him.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm going to let you finish, and then I'm going to say something.
And then you're going to have a whole segment. I disagree with having a Starfield show, because to me, you should make that the center point of your Xbox showcase.
100%, I agree.
So if you're going to mention Starfield in your Xbox showcase, then it needs to be your center point. Since you're having your own Starfield Direct, then you need to not mention it or show it at all in your Xbox showcase. In my opinion. But then again, how much are you actually going to show of Starfield in this showcase? Depending on how long it is, that's not going to give away too much and overhype it. Like the hype for it now is high. So why do anything to hurt it? And why do anything to dump gas on it and overhype it? I think the hype is perfect right now. Just do what you need to do at the Xbox showcase to whip everybody into a frenzy, and then just that's it until September.
I think you have to showcase Starfield because I think you need a win with Starfield. Like, I've seen multiple people say that if Starfield doesn't come out banging, and to use Phil Spencer's words, if it's not an 11 out of 10, you're going to lose so much.
Well, I mean, I don't think it needs to be 11 out of 10. It just needs to be really good. I don't think it needs to be 10 out of 10 or 9
I'm just
out
using
of 10,
his...
but it's very clearly it can't come out like Redfall, because that would have been the case where you have Bethesda cuts at the beginning of the year or at the end of last year, whenever they cut the jobs from Bethesda, and then you have 2 games from Bethesda that fall on their face that you were counting on to be good first-party exclusives, and one of them was a swing and a miss, and you can't have Starfield be in that. Because everybody who owns Xbox, or not everybody, but a lot of people, like when they would get into arguments with Sony fans on, in threads on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, they always point to Starfield. And so Starfield doesn't have to be perfect. Starfield's got to be a win, though. It can't be another Redfall.
The next thing we have on June 12th, we have an Ubisoft Forward.
Is Ubisoft going forward? I guess we'll find out.
I guess so.
I agree with that. I've kind of looked forward to these over the last couple of years, other than the fact that they're the Just Dance and a couple of other things. But it's interesting. I've always kind of interested to see what they've got. I mean, of course, you'd like to see Skull and Bones. You'd like to see Beyond Good and Evil 2, but that's not.
I'd like the official release date for Heartland. But that's Division game.
Oh,
free to play Division game. Yeah. I just also bring back Aisha Tyler. She was like the best part of those shows.
I have to say, the first couple of years, I absolutely despised her.
I did too.
And then she grew. And then she finally hit her groove.
She grew into. All right, so we have 4 more shows, but we don't have any really. Well, 2 of them we don't have a release date, and the other 2 are possibilities. We have an upload VR showcase, which I know either one of you guys are interested in.
It uploaded VR show, so maybe you have to wear your VR to be able to see it.
You got a wholesome direct, which I don't know what that is. Never heard of that before.
Nintendo games?
Well, no, because the next 2 on the list are possibilities, which is a Nintendo Direct, which I think is almost a certainty, and a Sony State of Play, which also is a, I think is a certainty.
Well, I hope we get something that shows more than just one game, because I guess because the 2 that they centered around a game I wasn't big on, but I'm just not. I don't like State of Plays. Well, sorry, Horizon I was, but still, I was just kind of like, eh. I don't like State of Plays that focus on one game.
All right, so I'm a dumbass.
Well, we knew that.
Because apparently, under the list, it explains what each thing is. So the Guerrilla Collective is not a Guerrilla Games. It is the Guerrilla Collective.
Oh, that explains so much more.
You call yourself a gaming podcast host.
It says the mixed team is preparing showcases to reveal fresh announcements, trailers, gameplay, a Steam event page for wish listing, demos, game ordering, and more, bringing together many of the hottest developers and publishers from around the world. Our current plans is the Guerrilla Collective Online Showcase, Black Voices in Gaming, New Games for Game Show, and Mix On-Site Showcase. And, of course, all that's subject to change. So that's what that is. Summer Game Fest is, like I said, was the Jeff Keighley thing. Future Game Show is one of Future's 3 total gaming showcases this year. If you wonder what Future Game Show is all about, as Harley is going crazy, it debuted in 2020 with a mission to, quote, celebrate the most exciting, unusual, innovative, upcoming games across all formats. You can expect gameplay footage from indies and the like, with some new surprises. The Upload VR Showcase contains several announcements for the Meta Quest 2 and major VR headsets. This showcase should focus on VR games, although we're not likely to see any new VR headset announcements. If VR is your jam, you want to see what the VR games will be announced. And the Wholesome Direct is you can expect truly wholesome aesthetics. Ow, Harley, that hurt. Shown again this year at the Wholesome Direct event, which include new trailers in tandem with the release dates and windows. The event in 2022 showed off 90 plus games in total, with 3 new games announced, including Bubblegum Galaxy. So that's what that is. And yeah, so those are the ones that were in question. So I'm sorry for not scrolling down further. Okay. Any last comments before we close out the show, guys?
No, that's all I got. So, I mean, I don't know. I never pay attention to much of this stuff anyway. Even a lot of Sony State of Plays or Nintendo Directs, I don't watch them live. I just kind of go back when the news is reported and everyone has their little cut up of the show, and I look through that and look further into what's interesting to me. But I rarely watch stuff live.
Okay. I'm going to leave you to do your shout-outs because Harley's currently trying to break into her food bowl. So, Alex, we'll start with your shout-outs first.
Well, I want to give a shout-out, first and foremost, to the tremendous community we have here at Trophy Whores. I want to thank you all for pushing us forward. You are the fuel to our fire. Without you all and your continued support, we would not continue to exist. We would not continue to go towards 600 episodes. So thank you all very much. Give a shout-out to V for our new, essentially, social community manager, putting out all the good questions and you know, helping us keep on track when it comes to all of our social media stuff. So thank you, V. Give a shout out to Tricky and to Yield for recording tonight. A shout out to the folks at the folks at Odd Bug Studio, the creators of Tales of Iron. Like I said, very good game, but if you are going for all of the trophies, or at least the Platinum Trophy, be aware that there is one missable trophy in the game. You have to collect all of the loot. Essentially, there are helmets, sets of armor, shields, melee weapons, ranged weapons. You have to collect them all for Reggie's Armory to complete that, which is a gold trophy. You can miss some of them, though, along the way, so before you crack into the game, please be aware of what the requirements are for that particular trophy. Because you will, essentially, if you miss one, you will have to play through the entire game again. It's not super long, like, I'd say 8 to 10 hours, maybe up to 12. But yeah, don't make yourself play through it again. Great game, but that's just frustrating when you have to play through the entire game again for a single trophy. Last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my awesome and loving girlfriend, Ashley. Happy Mother's Day, hun. Of course, when she hears this, it's going to be Wednesday and not Mother's Day, but hope she had a good time this weekend with our dual Mother's Day dinners. And yeah, that is going to be my shout outs. I love you, hun. And yield, sir, while Tricky is making sure that Harley's not making food of another one of his power cables.
Tricky's actually back.
Okay, so shout out to Alex and Tricky for recording. Shout out to not just my mom, but all the other moms out there. Hope you enjoyed your day. Shout out to all the pimps and the matters of the whoredom for downloading, listening, and hanging out, putting together awesome contests that we got going on in the Facebook group. Yeah, that'll do it for me this week. Kind of simple.
All right, and I want to give a shout out to Harley, who's currently driving me crazy. Oh, come say hi. Say hi, Harley. Shout out to all the listeners. Shout out to Alex and Yield for recording on this Mother's Day. We didn't know if we were going to put out a show today, but apparently we were able to get together, which is always good. Harley's trying to chew through my headphone cable right now. She's not looking at the microphone. Harley, can you please stop? Why do you have to get annoying at the end of every show? All right. Shout out to all the listeners. Thank you very much. And if there's nothing else, until next week, happy trophy hunting.
See ya.
Later.
The theme song is Venus by the band Even off their album Zenith. Permission granted by the band and 12 Stone Records. You can find them on Facebook by going to www.facebook.com/evenphilippines.